Hey guys, today I just thought I'd make myself some tea and share the tea with you. A Starfield review. Before I begin this review, I will leave this disclaimer. I'm reviewing Starfield through the eyes of someone who has played modded Skyrim and Fallout 4. Through these lenses, the quick, too long didn't read summary is that Starfield is a disappointing entry in Bethesda's lineup. If you want a non-biased review, then this video is not for you. This video is mostly for my audience that has modded Bethesda games to unlock its full creative potential. Disclaimer over. Alright, let's get started. Starfield, Bethesda's long-awaited latest RPG entry. Only this time it's a completely new IP that takes place in space. As with Skyrim and Fallout 4, I definitely wanted to first play and approach this game fully knowing that modding for it is very limited. I judged the game based on its own merits and not on its modding potential. But anyway, no big deal, right? God, Howard promised us cool planets to explore and hours of content. After all, Bethesda wants this game to be super popular and have a more robust longevity than Skyrim.
Come on. Okay, take it easy. You were out cold. No physical damage. Mentally, the jury's still out. You know who you are? New recruit for Argos Extractors? Ring any bells? Any of this look familiar?
I booted the game and started off with character creation. At this point of the game, I don't really care about my character's appearance as I know for a fact that I won't be satisfied without mods. However, I do have to say that I'm glad they switched back to visual sliders compared to Fallout 4's dumpster fire guessing game. Anyway, after I created my character and chose my perks, I proceeded with the main questline. In my opinion, the intro questline is quite important to prime and hype the player up. We can quickly see that we are some sort of miner digging for minerals. We find a weird stone and pass out. Wow, that's quite boring. In Skyrim, we start off as a prisoner that needs to run away from a huge black dragon and escape the Imperial Legion through caves with giant spiders. In Fallout 4, we literally see our town get nuked, our spouse killed, our baby stolen, and our timeline fast forward 200 years into the future with a completely destroyed world. The stakes were very high in both Skyrim and Fallout 4. In Starfield, we are just a miner that somehow attracts some space pirates with a simple gunfight. Exciting. No climax yet and no huge stakes yet. Okay, maybe the story will pick up later. Anyway, we have somehow entrusted an entire ship with someone we only met for 10 minutes, and we make our way to one of the game's main cities, New Atlantis. New Atlantis itself is great. I can tell that Bethesda really has put in some decent effort in the visual upgrades. However, you realize these visuals enhancements only appear good because we've been used to Bethesda's previous simple graphics, in my opinion. Open world games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Cyberpunk at least had some mind-blowing visuals and were still open world. New Atlantis felt very nice to be in, but somehow also felt that getting lost was very easy and it was hard to find points of interest like gun stores, clothing stores, and all that. No big deal, I guess. Anyway, without getting too much into the story, we join a space group in New Atlantis with the task of finding some objectives critical to their mission. As with any typical Bethesda player, I proceeded to complete the main missions and proceed with side quests along the way. I also wanted to visit as many planets as I could just to see what cool stuff was added. As part of the exploration, I was very excited to start exploring with my spaceship. I know a lot of people did complain about space exploration being all about loading screens, but actually my experience with it was fine. I didn't use the fast travel options most of the time to get the most organic experience possible. Takeoff and landings were cool to see how your ship looks like, and the graph jumps to jump between galaxies were also pretty cool and gave the sense of just how fast your ship needs to travel in order to visit all these star systems. My only issue with space exploration were the numerous buttons and settings you need to adjust your ship in order to appropriately move and dock. It was actually quite cumbersome in my opinion. No joke, I died about 10 times just trying to dock my ship and angle it correctly until I got the prompt to land it. It was kind of dumb and frustrating, but maybe it was a skill issue on my part. However, then came time to start exploring planets. Sadly, it very quickly becomes apparent that this game is nothing more than a blank canvas. I will focus on this point later. In each planet, you fight the literal same enemies. Space pirates that just happen to be there, even in supposedly remote and unexplored planets. You find the same armors and weapons, which are like two variations of the same space pirate set. Alien flora and fauna are pretty much the same across planets with minor variations. Unfortunately, though, most of these planets contain no life. The ones that did were just repeated. Desolate planets pretty much only contain minerals, which are kind of useless to collect because they can be purchased as stores in bulk. But hopefully, the points of interest are good, right? Dang, no they were not. All 4 to 5 points of interest are just repeats of one another with very minor variations. The brutal part is that you need to walk for a long time in between each one, only for it to contain similar layouts, lame loot, and maybe some small and uninteresting lore. Back to the main quest line, I guess. My god, it's still slow. So far, the first 10 to 15 hours of the game just involves fetch questing. Go here, kill this, find that. Now do that 5 or 6 times for the number of things you need to find for this space group. At this point, the stakes are still non-existent. You don't fully understand the purpose of these unknown objectives, and the problem here is that the first 20 hours of gameplay still keeps you mostly in the dark about what the plot and consequences are here. Nothing about the situation right now screams urgency or some crazy events that you, the player, must accomplish. Lads, I decided to trap Starfield. I haven't played or booted the game since October 12th. You can see that I've played the game for 80 hours and not once has it compelled me to play or create a high-stakes situation in the story to justify continuing it. Now, let me explain my viewpoints and how I got to these criticisms. Let me also explain why I had such a pessimistic experience with this game. As I mentioned before, the game starts you off with such a low stakes in an unimportant environment. The problem this created for me is that I didn't know why I had to do some of these missions. Why is my character going with the flow? Who is the common enemy? Just random space pirates? If the story has to take more than 20 to 40 hours for it to hook me in, then we already have a problem here. In my case, I spent 80 hours and I'm still not hooked in. Secondly, the content of the game itself is the biggest problem for me. I could forgive the boring story if at least the content exploration was awesome. Earlier, I mentioned that this game was nothing more than a glorified canvas. Most of the planets are empty with generic, procedurally generated locations. Flora and fauna variety is very low. Something tells me that Bethesda has some sort of plan to address this. Number 1, fill the planets later with future DLC or number 2, created this blank canvas for modders to populate them with their own creations. Now, if these two things were to happen, then for sure Starfield will be an interesting and compelling game for the years to come. Still though, the problem is that the player base may not be patient enough to wait. In addition, the number of modders grows smaller and smaller. Look at how dead Fallout 4 modding is compared to Skyrim SE. The other problem is that the modding tools were not made ready on time. They are estimated to be ready sometime early 2024. Even when the official creation kit is ready, other fan-made tools must come later like Body Slide, NIF Scope, NIF plugins, etc. My final verdict with Starfield is that it truly has the potential to be greater than Skyrim and Fallout 4 with how huge and limitless the scope is with space as the setting. This is only marred by the fact that Starfield by its own merit does not offer anything interesting in the short term of gameplay. So, is Starfield worth the money? Yes. Absolutely, if all you care about is the vanilla experience. You get your money's worth in the amount of gameplay hours and things to do. Is Starfield worth it as a dedicated player and mod user? Definitely not. Starfield is in desperate need of content in order for it to maintain its longevity. Currently, it has nothing going for it besides the fact that it's a new IP with somewhat new mechanics. At least, it's been the least buggy game of Bethesda. Maybe? Am I planning to mod it? Maybe. It all depends on how Bethesda handles the modding support and also how the modding community's attitude shapes this game. I do have at least 2 alphas planned for Starfield, but anything beyond that would depend on the tools and on the community. I will probably pick up Starfield again when modding picks up for it. Being an adult with growing responsibilities every day, it's hard for me to justify exploring and playing Starfield for literally nothing. No interesting content. I'm not going to waste 20 minutes walking between points of interest only to find generic caves with only minerals and nothing else. Well, I will end this video here, but if you guys found Starfield enjoyable, then please do let me know. I'm always down to change my opinion, or maybe I'm just not understanding Starfield enough. Thank you for having tea with me today. Until next time, bye!